This is Professional Development 7, Commitment to Excellence. So you've nearly made it. Graduation is literally just around the corner, and congratulations. Hopefully it went by faster than you expected. This particular lecture is designed to bring everything you have learned in your professional development series together for a culminating reflection. Because we aren't in class together for a discussion, please be prepared to write down and record your own reflections that you will turn in for a response for credit. So let's talk about professionalism. What is a professional to you? In your first semester, you created a personal mission statement. You were definitely pretty green then, maybe even a little naive too. You've grown and developed so much, and your mission statement, does it still fit? Now that you are so much wiser, do you have anything you would change? Take a moment and write down your thoughts. So who are you as a professional? I bet you saw some behaviors you didn't think were very professional this year. You probably saw things that made you say to yourself, yeah, I'm never going to do that. Take a moment to reflect upon 5 unprofessional behaviors you want to be sure to avoid in your own career. And how can you avoid or improve upon those behaviors yourself? Record your response. I really hope that you saw much more good during your clinical year than bad. So also write down 5 behaviors you specifically want to emulate or ideas you have to be professional. How can you actually do this? It's usually pretty easy to be nice to nice people and patient with gracious people. It's much easier to control your temper when you've had enough rest and you've had a good meal recently. But how do you react when you aren't at your best? Maybe when someone is yelling at you, maybe when you received some difficult feedback, or you were working a 12-hour shift and didn't get much sleep the night or day before. Reflect upon when you are at your worst. Take a moment to write down your observations. Also, think about what strategies can help you adapt when you aren't at your best. You should have recently concluded your last emotional intelligence inventory. Write down your observations about your growth over time. Choose one area you will continue to develop over the next 6 months. What strategies will you employ in order to do so? Consider using the SMART goal format. Now that you are close to transitioning into the workforce as a certified PA, let's consider the commitments you have both explicitly and implicitly made. First, I hope you will commit yourself to a life and a career of excellence. But what does excellence mean to you? What commitments will you make to patients? How will you treat them? How will you remember to see them as individuals after maybe you feel a little bit jaded or get tired of the routine? A part of commitment to patients should hopefully include a commitment to evidence-based practice. How can staying current on the latest science help you best serve patients? And how can it make you a more valuable team player? As we talk about team, what commitments will you make to them? What kind of relationship do you want with your supervising physician? How will you treat nurses and other staff? How can you respond to feedback? How will you give feedback? What commitments might you make to yourself? To your personal mission statement, your integrity and your values? How will you balance family and other relationships? And what will you do to maintain balance and to avoid and prevent burnout? And what about commitment to lifelong learning? What advantages will you see in your life through continued learning? What benefits will you pass along to those you interact with? What will lifelong learning look like to you? Now let's reflect back on the past clinical year. How anxious were you about your clinical rotations? Because I'm pretty sure every single one of you was anxious at some point. Did you wonder where you would go? Were you worried about how receptive or open your preceptors might be? Did you wonder how much you'd actually see or get to do, and if you were prepared? Now let's think about the challenge of scheduling clinical rotations. How many people do you think the clinical education team has to contact in order to get just one person to agree to host a student? How quickly is the competition for clinical rotations growing? Let's think about just here in Utah. Since the time that Rocky Mountain University has started a PA program, there's a new DO school in St. George. The University of Utah PA program doubled their class size. Utah Valley University and Weber State are both starting programs. And soon, Rocky Mountain University will be affiliated with a new, large osteopathic medical school. What do you imagine the impact of these new programs will be on scheduling clinical rotations? Do you anticipate it'll get easier or harder to find new clinical rotation sites? And what about the short-term and long-term impacts of our own current events? So what percentage of providers actually serve as clinical preceptors? Honestly, I don't know. I've heard some people estimate between 10 to 25% of medical providers serve as preceptors. And that's not just for PA students. That's for nurse practitioner students, MD, DO students, and others. Anecdotally, from my own observations in contacting people, it does feel like probably closer to the 10% number. But again, I don't have the facts to back that up. But let's think about the impact of that. If 100% of all hands-on medical education is being offered by only a portion, maybe 10 to 25% of the medical community, is that a sustainable educational model? What will happen to the PA profession if more providers do not start to serve as clinical preceptors? How quickly can the medical education community recover from recent current events if the weight of clinical education rests on only 10 to 25% of providers? What kind of backlog can we expect to experience? How long will it take to recover? Okay, so let's be upfront here. I have some bias. So from my perspective, in my role as the Director of Clinical Education, I would like to be bold and say it is a professional obligation for every PA to serve as a clinical preceptor. After all, is it really someone else's responsibility? If every medical provider has to go through this mentoring apprenticeship process, why shouldn't every practicing provider also serve as a clinical preceptor too? I'd like to make a personal challenge to you. Once you feel competent and capable, and that might be a couple months, that might be a couple of years, depending on your specialty, your supervisor, and even just your own comfort level, commit to serving as a clinical preceptor at least once per year. I don't even care if it's for Rocky Mountain. Well, okay, I do prefer that it is, but just do it for someone. Do it for the community. Do it for the PA profession. Let's look at the impact on scheduling rotations. As Rocky Mountain University grows its seasoned alumni base, scheduling rotations should get easier. Right now, there should be about 200 potential preceptors. Next year, 250. Right now, we only have about 3 to 5 alumni per cohort serving as preceptors for us. What could the impact be on PA education if this was true for all PA alumni and schools? Let's do the math. If every alumni hosted one student per year, how many rotations would that be? What if they hosted 2, 3, or 4 students per year? How many times do you think you'll be comfortable precepting? I also want to mention, in fall 2020, our program will start paying all preceptors a $500 stipend per rotation. That amount is even increasing to $1,000 in the following year. So let us help you repay your student loans back by partnering together. So as a profession, let's stop depending on physicians to carry a lot of this weight. Consider being an advocate and a leader for your own profession. After all, physician assistants are the experts on physician assistants. I particularly love that there are more and more opportunities for PAs to step up as leaders in the medical community. I think this is a great opportunity for your profession. There are other ways to contribute to the PA profession. Do you like it when other people make decisions for you? And isn't it even worse when those people don't know anything about what you do? Consider getting involved and participating in decision making. You can advocate for changes that you want. After all, The PA profession is ever changing. Do you really want physicians, nurse practitioners, politicians, insurance companies, and others who do not understand your role to decide how you practice? How about other PAs? Do you want them making decisions for you? For example, what's your opinion on the profession's name changing to physician associate or even to something else? Do you want the profession to shift to a doctoral degree instead of a master's degree? Think about helping the profession and the image of the profession grow and improve by teaching other people about what a PA does and their scope of practice. Maybe you can consider allowing undergraduate students to shadow. Also consider other ways of getting involved in leadership and influencing decisions in your future jobs. And that's one advantage of the DMSC program, is it offers additional credibility and also insight into opportunities for PA leadership. Go ahead and write down your ideas for how you would like to contribute to the profession. So moving forward, I want you to record the following reflections. Write down what you wish your preceptors had taught you and how you can pass that information along to other future PAs. Record how you wish you would have been treated by your preceptors and how you can improve upon that during your own professional interactions. And how can you specifically make a difference to patients, coworkers, the community, the physician assistant profession, and to others who are important to you? The PA profession is still a relatively new and especially unknown and misunderstood profession. As a professional, a PA, and even just a human being, you represent more than just yourself. Your behaviors and character will reflect upon your supervising physician, your workplace, your specialty, the PA profession, Rocky Mountain University, and your own family name, among others. Commit to growing into the best version of yourself, to becoming better every single day and avoiding complacency. And congratulations on all of your progress. I'm so proud of you and excited to see where your future takes each of you. I look forward to a continued relationship with you and hope we can stay in touch. And for real, let us pay you money to precept our students. It's a win-win, right? Okay, that was my shameless plug, but can you blame me? Again, I'm the Director of Clinical Education. I hope you enjoyed this screencast. Remember to complete the corresponding reflection and to turn in what you've done.